Chapter 4. Ain't this fun? I have to rush with this one because I have to go to open house tonight. And open house for school. Yay! School! We're gonna party. Don't make me go back to school. And now we begin reading.
MLP FIM is property of Hasbro. This is a free fan fiction, not to be sold or traded for any money, goods, or services. Warning: grim dark. Contains graphic writing. Please do not read if you do not like gory, violent stories concerning MLP. Contains murder, slaughter, fOuR, and swearing. Like this last one really matters. LOL.
fLuTtEr 4. Ponyville Luxury Spa. The last, and I do mean last, pony that Rarity and Fluttershy would ever have expected to see in the spa would have to be Applejack. Yet, there she was. "Howdy, Rarity, Fluttershy. Mighty pleased to see y'all here." She pointed at a pamphlet. "I ain't got no idea what to do here." "What are you doing in here anyway?" Rarity asked, shaking off her surprise just before picking Fluttershy's jaw off the floor. "Oh, well, Apple Bloom won this one-time free deluxe spa treatment. She gave it to me. I didn't want to come, but she just wouldn't let it go, so here I am." "Why don't you take the red deluxe treatment? It's my usual." "I don't think the coupon covered that kind of treatment." "Nonsense. I'll cover whatever the coupon doesn't cover." Rarity smiled. "I don't know." Rarity fluttered her eyes. "Oh, come on now, darling. Just this once?" "Well, I guess, but I'll repay ya." "A generous jar of apple syrup will be payment enough," Rarity teased. "Apple syrup?" Applejack looked thoughtful at that idea. "Ain't never thought of making that syrup from apple trees before. We got plenty of big old trees in the old orchard that just don't grow tons of apples anymore. They might be just right to make the syrup from." "Good to hear," and I was kidding. "Now, you are going to feel so revitalized after this." ... Fluttershy was enjoying her usual treatment, and enjoying watching Applejack getting the exact same treatment as the elegant Rarity. Applejack did her best not to complain, but the deep tissue massage from the handsome and well-built stallion really got to her. One could describe Applejack as little more than happy, warm pool of Applejack-colored goo. "Oh, my Celestia!" Applejack groaned as she felt a few knots in her shoulders get decimated under the skilled hooves of the massage. "I never realized just how stiff I was." Rarity groaned as she received her own massage from Allo. "Oh, you have no idea just how stressed you can be till you get your muscles kneaded like bread dough." Fluttershy smiled as Lotus gently massaged the base of her wing just the way she liked it. "My dear Fluttershy," Lotus wondered, "you feel so relaxed." Fluttershy stretched a little. "I do have a little knot lower down. Lower, lower. Ah, there." Lotus was no stranger to giving flank massages, but had never given one to Fluttershy before. Still, she easily found the small knot, and gently massaged it out. Applejack nearly had to be poured into a pail to be moved to the mud bath. "Oh, wow. Rarity, Fluttershy, I might just become a regular just for the massage." Rarity and Fluttershy giggled. ... Fluttershy stretched her wings as the trio of mares emerged from the spa. "I don't get the mud bath part, but the hot tub after was really nice. Best part was the massage. I feel like I'm gonna sleep well tonight." "You and me both, dear," Rarity smirked, then noticed Fluttershy as she was stretching her wings. "Fluttershy, did you do something with your wings?" Fluttershy folded one wing while looking at the other, fluffing the feathers a little. "What do you mean?" "Oh, they just looked a little longer and more slender for a moment." "I was just stretching them," Fluttershy said. "I should get home to feed my friends. Good night, Applejack, and Rarity, good luck with whatever you're going to make for Princess Luna." Much appreciate that, Fluttershy. Applejack donned her and trotted off towards Sweet Apple Acres. I just may make her a pair of warm, cozy socks. The castle floors must be a little chilly at night, Rarity said as the pair walked back to the boutique, pausing at the door. And another pair for Princess Luna. I can't make something for one of them and not the other. So generous of you, Fluttershy giggled as they entered. I really enjoyed our time together today. She gently nuzzled Rarity before taking her basket and book. Take care of yourself, dear. Rarity smiled as her beautiful little muse left. ... She was lost and afraid, alone in the Everfree, cold, hungry, and thirsty, covered in dirt, her soft green mane and tail tangled with branches, her slender horn having a chunk of dried muck stuck to it. Wintermint tripped over a loose root and stumbled down a small slope, rolling head over heel till she came to a stop, landing hard on the ground. The unicorn winced a little as she struggled to her hooves and looked around. She caught a sudden whiff of water and saw a dark cave. The smell of water was coming from within, and she could hear the stream. She limped slowly to the gaping maw and peeked inside. A faint glow of phosphorescent moss gave her enough light to see, so she crept in. The cave had an odd smell in it, but the thought of water drove her deeper. She saw the stream and approached carefully, her ears perked and alert for any signs of danger. Wintermint carefully lowered her head and tasted the water, cold and fresh. She drank greedily, quenching her thirst, and hoping it would quell the hunger pains she was feeling, at least till she could find her way out of this labyrinthine forest. She finally lifted her head and sighed. That's better. I feel... Her ears suddenly twitched at the sound of a pebble bouncing nearby. She turned and saw a small creature, perhaps the size of a foal. It looked feline, but with some odd features. The face looked somewhat like that of a pony, with the ears a muzzle and a long furry tail swished behind it. The paws sported small black claws. The mouth showed off small, needle-thin teeth, and those glowing red eyes. They looked right into her mind. Wintermint stepped back, fear gripping the unicorn's heart. This fear increased as her eyes adjusted to see skulls lining some small shelves on the walls. Over a dozen animal skulls that were white and clean, and glinting in the eerie green light of the cave. The creature, though barely half her size, brought increasing fear to her, and she bolted for the entrance. As she emerged from the cave, she came face to face with a pretty yellow pony with long pink mane and gentle eyes. Help me! There's a monster in that cave! Wintermint's bright green eyes were wide and fearful. Monster? The Pegasus stretched her wings wide. The feathers stretched to make those wings look narrow and long. There's no monster in there, just my baby. It looked evil. I have to get out of here and tell every pony about it. The soft expression on the Pegasus' face went from gentle to worry. No, you can't tell any pony about my son. They wouldn't understand. She reared up and kicked Wintermint in the face as hard as she could. Wintermint's head exploded with pain, and her left eye felt like it had just exploded. Hot blood splattered on the Pegasus' hoof and foreleg and ran down Wintermint's face. The unicorn staggered back, stunned. She looked up through her pain in time to see another forehoof heading for her face, and beyond that, an enraged yellow mare. She felt 10 times the pain of her eye being ruptured, exploded through her skull as her horn was smashed to the side with a sickening crunch. The pain caused her to black out. Fluttershy wanted to panic. If this unicorn awoke and found her way into Ponyville, her baby would be discovered. She had only one choice. She bit down on the mare's neck and ripped out her throat, blood spraying the pony. Then she dragged it inside the cave to dispose of the evidence. Fluttershy had just killed another pony. She felt fear and panic well up in her chest, but knew she had done what she needed to do to protect her baby. Whisperwing looked at the corpse and meowed hungrily. Fluttershy nodded. It's all right, Blackthorn. I won't let any pony hurt you. She looked down at the corpse. It would be a waste to just drag it off into the forest and dispose of it. She opened her mouth and brought her lips to the mare's bloody throat and licked at the blood. It was almost intoxicating. She drank the blood, sucking greedily at the artery, filling her own belly before she started tearing to the belly with her teeth. The taste of pony blood was different from that of rabbits and deer and other forest animals. She became almost drunk on it. but still, she would tear into the belly and give the chunks of flesh to her beloved baby. She smiled and watched as he ate what she gave him. Don't expect Mama to bring you more like this, okay? Her eyes flickered red at the same time as his, unnoticed by the mayor. He simply tore into the meat and filled his belly. ... The large corpse had taken nearly a whole month to be stripped bare to the bone. Whisperwing had grown quite a bit with that feast. Much to Fluttershy's dismay, he didn't seem to want to eat rabbit or deer or anything else now. He had tasted pony, and that was what he craved. For nearly 3 days after the meat was gone, and the bones disposed of, minus the skull which now rested on the shelf in the cave, up on the top shelf where her baby slept. The small creature refused to eat anything Mama brought him. Fluttershy was worried. She had given Whisperwing a taste of sentient flesh, and he had loved it. She worried more that she had enjoyed the unicorn's blood more than that of any other animal, and she was craving it. Mama will get you food. She nuzzled her hungry baby. He nuzzled her back and whimpered hungrily. Fluttershy then exited the cave. She had to find food. ... A young Earth Pony cult, no older than the somewhat chaotic Cutie Mark Crusaders, was just as desperate to earn his cutie mark. He approached the edge of the Everfree Forest. I've never been here before, and I must have tried everything in town. Maybe I'll earn it in here. He stepped forward, but found his path blocked by the local druid of the Everfree. Fluttershy! He was startled and hopped back. Fluttershy had not been startled by the sudden appearance of this foal. Oh, hello, Puddle Jumper. She smiled in a very kind way that eased the colt's nerves. What are you doing all the way over here? I'm going to try to earn my cutie mark. I tried everything in Pony there that I can think of, so I thought maybe I could earn it in there. Fluttershy looked back into the forest. Perfect. She thought to herself, it is dangerous in there by yourself. How about I help you? Really? The colt's eyes sparkled with excitement. You will really help me? Fluttershy nodded. I think I know the perfect place for you to start looking. She looked back at Puddle Jumper, her eyes flashing red for but a moment. It had gone unnoticed by the foal. Really? Where? He was bouncing around, barely able to contain himself. It is a ways in, Fluttershy replied. Her heart was beating faster. How long had it been since she had chased something through the forest? Since she had truly hunted? The last fawn she had killed had not even tried to escape, just staring at her wide-eyed as she pounced. How do I get in there? I can fly you in. I've never flown before. Is it fun? Maybe you could get a co-pilot cutie mark. That would be awesome. There's nothing like it. Fluttershy fluttered into the air and used her forelegs, wrapping them around his chest. She lifted him a few lengths off the ground and started into the forest, careful not to fly high and risk being spotted by any weather ponies. This is so much fun, he wondered as they flew quickly through the forest, weaving around trees, over and under obstacles, and even through a few bushes. He failed to realize he was good and lost. But hey, he was with Fluttershy, right? No creature ever bothered her. He was all in good hooves after all. Here we are. Fluttershy smiled as they entered a small clearing and landed. Puddle Jumper looked around, spotting a small ravine. What is this place? It is a place where you will become what you were meant to be. Her eyes glowed red as she started salivating, but that was unnoticed as the foolish foal trotted to the top of the ravine and looked down. What's all that down there? Bones. Fluttershy stalked toward the fold. He turned around. Bones? He then saw the blood-red eyes and the hungry expression on Fluttershy's face. Miss Fluttershy? He was suddenly scared. There's nothing shy about me. Call me Flutter. I'm not so shy anymore. She grinned as a tear of blood dripped from her eye, staining her beautiful yellow coat. Now, you might just earn your cutie mark if you survive. She stalked closer. You're scaring me, Miss Fluttershy. This is a prank, right? Did Apple Bloom put you up to this after I dumped that bucket of tree sap on her head? He inched to the side. Fluttershy opened her mouth, small, sharp fangs clearly visible. She then whispered, Run. The colt's legs moved on their own. He bolted aside, running for the edge of the clearing. He heard the frightened sound of teeth snapping at his flank as he ran past Flutter. He didn't need to look back to know she was chasing him. He ran blindly into the forest, not even realizing he was following the same path that Flutter's first deer had run. You're not making this entertaining enough, Flutter suddenly whispered in his ear. Jumper screamed and bolted to the side, jumping through a razor thorn bush. He cried in pain as he was scratched and cut by the cruel, sharp thorns, but he didn't slow down. He just ran, his heart thundering in his chest. He then became aware that his heartbeat and the sound of his own hooves were the only sounds. Jumper slowed and stopped, looking around. He spotted a tangle of tree roots and quickly crawled inside. It was a tight fit, but seemed like a good place to hide. He slowed his breath and wished his heart would not beat so loudly. Then a branch snapped nearby. From his hiding place, he saw a hoof and a foreleg. It vanished from view, and the sound of fLuTtEr moved away. Jumper remained here for what felt like hours, but fLuTtEr had not returned. I escaped? I lost her. I just had to find my way out of the forest now. He carefully started to crawl out. Apple Plume had to have set this all up. I know Miss Fluttershy wouldn't ever hurt anything. That was all just makeup and stuff. That blood in the red eyes and the fangs. He gulped, and fear still gripping him as he emerged from hiding. It was getting dark now. He didn't want to be lost here in that forest after dark, but Fluttershy had to be nearby watching him, right? She would protect him, right? The colt started back the way he came, hoping he could at least find his way back to the clearing with the ravine. The ravine. Those bones. What if Fluttershy was not as shy as she pretended to be? What if for reason those bones were there? No, that was impossible. Fluttershy was just too kind and gentle. She had helped him take care of his own pet turtle, taught him how to care for his little Sheldon. Fluttershy was just playing a prank. As he tried to find his way back to the clearing, he failed to see the red eyes in the darkness between two trees, staring hungrily at him. The sun had nearly completely set when he found his way back to the clearing. He approached the ravine again. Can't be bones. They have to just be sticks. He gulped and looked down. It was dark below, but he could make out the faint shape below. Most were white or yellow, but some looked like they had dark stains on them. Those are the bones of my prey, a soft, frightening voice whispered from the dark edges of the forest. Miss Fluttershy? He spun around, but the pretty mare was nowhere to be seen. A shadow of movement from the corner of his eye made him jump and spin. Nothing there. There are the bones of a pony in there as well. The whisper was in his ear. Again Jumper spun, his heart pounding so hard it hurt. Again, nothing there, and again a shadow moved in the corner of his eye. This isn't funny anymore. Please stop this. I want to go home. I promise I'll never play another prank on any pony ever again for as long as I live. He was crying, his entire body shaking with fear. A pair of red glowing eyes opened in the darkness between two trees. I believe you, little puddle jumper. Her voice was low, smooth, dark. Jumper could see a glint of those fangs in the rising moonlight, the light suddenly outlining fLuTtEr. Her mane looked dark, almost red. Her coat looked ragged and feral, not smooth and soft. The look in her eyes was not one that a gentle pony would give any living thing. Those were the eyes of a hunter, a predator, a killer. fLuTtEr stepped silently from the trees. Do you want to go home? Jumper nodded. Do you want to see your mother and father again? Again he nodded, but backed away. He heard a stone fall into the ravine behind him. It had to be over 5 lengths to the bottom, and filled with sharp stones and sharp bones. I'm pleased to say you will not be going home, and you will not be seeing your family ever again. I'm going to feed you to my baby. Emerging from the darkness to fLuTtEr's right was a hellish-looking creature. Half great cat, half Pegasus pony, and those eyes, those hellishly glowing red eyes, they were just like fLuTtEr's eyes. And then, fLuTtEr attacked. Jumper didn't even get a chance to bolt. He was tackled and sent flying off the edge into the darkness below. He landed hard, his right leg crunching from the hard landing. His body rolled and crashed through the bones of the dead. Ribs, spines, legs, hips, but no skulls. He screamed in pain and horror. This was most certainly no prank. fLuTtEr and that monster were going to kill and eat him. He heard fLuTtEr land behind him, her hard hooves crushing a rib cage. How does it feel, knowing you are food? Your fear-soaked blood will taste so sweet as I drink it from your still-living body. To feel your pulse slow till there is nothing left. She stepped closer, her demonic eyes glaring down at the foal. But please let me go. I'll never tell anybody about this again. I promise. I know you won't tell anybody. Fluttershy stumped hard onto his broken leg. The scream sent shivers down her spine into the tips of her wings. She felt herself get wet from the sensation. Jumper struggled to scramble away, and crashed through more bones when flutter released him. The impact hurt, and the piercing pain of a sharp, broken bone pierced his shoulder. He sucked in his breath, holding in the scream. Trying to be a brave, Hal? Fluttershy giggled. It was her beloved, happy giggle, but to Jumper, it was the most terrifying sound he had ever heard. He grabbed another sharp, broken leg bone and held it between his hooves, the business end pointing toward Flutter. Get back! I don't want to hurt you! Again, Flutter giggled. A side swipe of a hoof and Jumper was disarmed. Are you tired of playing already? I don't like this. Please stop. It hurts. My leg and shoulder. My side hurts too. Fluttershy smiled as she smelled the blood. She could see a small gash on his side. Not too deep, but deep enough for him to bleed heavily. I can make the pain go away. Do you want the pain to stop? This nightmare to stop? She was now standing over top Jumper, staring into his wide-eyed, terrified eyes. Please, make it stop! I want to wake up now. This is just a really bad nightmare, right? Flutter lowered her mouth so it was just an inch from his ear. This is no nightmare. This is real. She rose her head and stared again. Jumper screamed as those fangs flashed toward his throat. To be continued. This chapter, 10 out of 10, okay? You happy? 10 out of 10! Ciao!